Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja. Today we are going to analyze the Competition Bill of 2022. Let us begin with the various topics that we are going to engage you in the entire segment with. These are the many topics. Let's start with the news. Of course, from the perspective of GS Mains Paper 3 that relates to economy, it is very important that we understand this particular topic. Apart from that, preliminary facts are important. So let us begin with the news. As you see, the Competition Amendment Bill of 2022, now as it was introduced into the parliament, there was a necessity for it because the market has changed. We need new mechanisms to deal with the changed market. Apart from that, empowerment to the CCI was also important, and to understand the digital acquisitions and mergers, this is very important, this particular segment. Now, as we see the need for this particular bill, it emanates from the changing of the market. Since the pandemic, we are seeing many mergers and acquisition. One big company is acquiring another company, and that is more and more pertaining to the digital companies. So for that, we need an upgraded mechanism, digitally ahead mechanism, so that if there is a chance of bias or unfair competition in the market, our laws, our acts are well equipped to deal with them. Redundancy of the previous mechanism under the Competition Act of 2002 has also should also be upgraded. That is of course needed. For that, we need to empower the CCI along with the DG. So that is why this particular bill was needed, keeping fair competition intact. Now, a country such as India, which is a huge market for not only domestic but foreign companies as well, it's of course important to ensure the protection of our domestic digital market. So for that as well, fair competition is needed. CCI, let's talk about Competition Commission of India. It's a statutory body. It is also a quasi-judicial body. Remember, that means it has the powers of judiciary, but of course its decisions can be challenged in the high courts and the Supreme Courts and the courts related. It enforces the Competition Act of 2002, and the body, although it was constituted in March 2009. Now, the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act of 1969 was repealed and replaced by the Competition Act of 2002, and that was on the recommendation of the Raghavan Committee. So remember the name of the committee, Raghavan Committee. And if we talk about the bill, then what is important? The provisions of it. Some provisions are more important, that will be discussed in detail. First is regulation of combinations based on transaction value. So now the combinations or acquisition or merger, that means coming together of two different or more than two different entities, it will be based on transaction value, the value of the transaction that is happening, because it prohibits any person or enterprise from entering into a combination which may cause an appreciable adverse effect on competition. Suppose there are three companies, A, B and C. A and B are two huge companies. Suppose A acquires B or merges with B, then it will of course have a better chance of surviving, not only surviving but capturing the entire market. So it will be kind of unfair to company C. So that for that only this particular regulation has come into place. Combination, they imply mergers, coming of two parties together. Acquisition, taking of another company by the bigger company. And amalgamation of enterprises as well. When there is an accumulation of enterprises, the assets have been merged. The prohibition applies to transactions where the parties which are involved, they have a cumulative asset of more than 1,000 crore or cumulative turnover of more than rupees 3,000 crore. So remember all these points. And that is subject to certain other conditions as well, but remember these. The bill expands the definition of combinations to include transactions with a value above 2,000 crore. So these are the many regulations, many conditions for regulation of mergers and acquisitions and combinations. Definition of control for classification of combination. Again, merger, acquisition or agglomeration of assets. The Act defines control as control over the affairs of the management when the board of directors, they get enlarged, and affairs of the company gets under their management by one or more enterprises over another enterprise or group. This is what we call control according to this bill. It modifies the definition of control as the ability to exercise material influence. That means any influence in the form of asset that could range from cash, that could range from assets, furniture, or renovation of that place over the management, affairs, or strategic commercial decision. How to advertise the company, how to make the infrastructure of advertising more commercial. So that is also included in this particular bill. Apart from that, what is the time limit for approval of combination? Earlier, it was 210 days. If under 210 days, the approval for combination was not given, right? After the 210-day time period, it was exceeded, then combinations used to occur. But now the bill has reduced the time for this particular mode to 150 days and 30 days plus will be conservatory. Okay, that means in totality 180 days. Settlement and commitment in anti-competitive proceedings, if proceedings have to take place, it can take place, proceedings against any company can take place on certain areas when two companies or more than two companies, they enter into anti-competitive agreement. Any agreement which gives them an unfair bias or gives them an unfair upper hand with respect to any market competition that is anti-competitive. Abuse of dominant position. There are many dominant players into our market, such as Zomato, Swiggy, Ola, Uber. If they are resorting to certain unfair trade practices, not letting the other companies come into the market, that means they are using their dominant position very unfairly, and that is also a basis of proceedings against them. Appointment of Director General. The earlier act, Competition Act of 2002, it gave the central government the powers to appoint the DG. But now CCI is going to appoint the DG also. Keep in mind that CCI will have to take into consideration the approval of the central government. Okay. Apart from that, qualifications of members of the CCI. See, 15 years of professional experience was needed in the erstwhile act. Until and unless it becomes an act, I'm not going to call it erstwhile. In the current act, that is Competition Act of 2002, there is a need of 15 years of professional experience in economics, competition matters, law, management, and business. But now this particular bill which has come to the fore, it wants to add the field of technology. That shows the seriousness of the government with respect to digital India. Now, if we talk about the appointment of Director General, then CCI in the current bill is empowered to appoint the Director General. So earlier, in fact, in the Competition Act of 2002, it was the central government which decided who is to be the DG. But now CCI will be empowered, but they have to take the permission or approval, not permission, but approval of the central government. Qualifications of the members of CCI according to Competition Act of 2002 needed 15 years of professional excellence in the fields of economic, competition market, law, management, business. This particular bill has added the field of technology, that means digital India, in order to keep the entire market digitally secure, fair, competition should exist. This particular provision has been added. Moving ahead, any acquisition, merger or amalgamation may constitute a combination. Okay, so I have already told you this, but how will it impact the digital market space? See, Section 5 currently it says that parties indulging in merger, acquisition or amalgamation, they need to notify the commission of the combination only on the basis of asset or turnover. That means if you want to get your approval done, you have to ensure that you tell the Competition Commission of India that combination on asset is this much and or turnover is this much. But now the bill proposes to add a deal value to threshold. That means whatever impact it is going to have on the share value of any company, of the companies that are getting involved, that also needs to be taken into account. That means if any company, foreign company, which has a substantial business operation in India, also comes into the picture, and the approval or disapproval will be based on the decision of the Competition Commission of India. They may take into consideration the deal value, but what about it does not approve of the merger, acquisition and amalgamation? It depends on the Competition Commission of India. Sometimes what happens, the companies who want to merge, they tend to, of course, acquire the stocks, right? But now, according to the bill, one company cannot acquire the stocks of any other company if the permission has not been sought by the Competition Commission of India. If any company is not seeking permission, has not sought permission, and does it irrespective of no approval or disapproval given, what will happen? This is called jumping of the gun. This is gun jumping. So when business entities are willing to execute a combination, they must inform the commission. If they are doing gun jumping, then the penalty was a total of 1% of the asset or turnover according to Competition Act of 2002. But now it is proposed to be 1% of the deal value. I've already told you what deal value is. Moving ahead, what is the way forward? There is a challenge that has been told by the companies who are acquiring the stocks of another companies. They are saying if they are going to wait for the acquiring of the stock according to the approval or disapproval of the Competition Commission of India, the stocks might not be available at a later stage. That is one of the challenges that needs to be talked about. Another thing, the commission should be better equipped to handle certain aspects of the new age market and transform its functioning to be more robust. There are many loopholes in the digital arena right now that can be exploited by such companies in order to maintain their dominant position. See, many other things that are heavily dependent on regulation are still need to be notified. That will be done by the commission later. But it is, of course, as the markets are emerging, the Competition Commission of India needs to ensure, and the legislators need to ensure that they continuously update their particular act according to the needs of the time. Market is getting updated so fast, so that is needed. Now look at the question. Discuss the challenges that the CCI faces in the current market mechanism and explain how the new bill seeks to empower CCI to deal with the current situation in 250 words. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Stay updated.